welcome to Long Live the Queen, where we talk about the women who made history. And by we, I mean the royal we, because it's just me. Today, we're going to talk about Blanche of Burgundy. Blanche of Burgundy was born in the year of our Lord, 1296. Her father was the Count of Burgundy. She had an older sister named Joan, who has an episode, Joan of Burgundy, and a younger brother born in 1300 when she was about 4 years old. When Blanche was about 11, her sister was going to marry the second son of the king, Prince Philip the Tall. And that very next year, it was Blanche's turn to get married. She was still only 12. Her husband was just 14. It was noted by the royal doctors that neither child had reached puberty yet. The three brothers, Prince Louis, 19, Prince Philip, 17, and Prince Charles, 14, were now married to Lady Margaret, 18, Lady Joan, 17, and now Lady Blanche, 12, respectively. Blanche seemed to have joined her sister's friend group. That also included their sister-in-law, Margaret. Likely because they were still so young, the youngest of these three couples, Charles and Blanche, were not starting a family yet. Her sister, though, was having a baby every year. Since the start, Joan and Prince Philip the Tall were having a lot of daughters. Their sister-in-law, Margaret, though, the oldest of the trio, was also not having children with her prince. And she needed to. Her husband was the Dauphin of France and responsible for male heirs. The Capetian royal family wanted to continue their continuous line of boys, because that is what France required. In 1313, Blanche's sister-in-law was returning home from England for a state visit. 13-year-old Isabella had left for England the same year that 12-year-old Blanche had come to Paris, so they didn't know each other well, but they likely had a lot in common. On this visit home, Queen Isabella gave her sisters-in-law embroidered purses. These purses would have been of expensive quality. It was a gift from the Queen of England to her sister-in-law, the Princesses of France. After the family reunion, Queen Isabella returned to England. The following year, she noticed that 2 of the purses she had given to Margaret and Blanche were on the belts of 2 handsome Norman knights. Weird, right? Queen Isabella made a mental note to tell her father about the odd occurrence when she saw him next. And she did just that. She told her dad, the King of France, that these Norman knights had possession of the princess's purses. Weird, right? The King of France investigated his daughter-in-laws and the knights. The knights were tortured, and they admitted under duress that the 2 of them had been eating, drinking, and sleeping with 2 of these princesses. And the 3rd princess wasn't involved, but did in fact know about and cover up for the affair. 18-year-old Blanche had a young baby, Prince Philip, and she was pregnant again. But after all the affair allegations, the king couldn't be sure of his grandchildren's paternity. Maybe these were baby knights. Blanche was found guilty and sentenced to prison, but her baby was born a contested princess, Joan, presumably after her aunt, Joan of Burgundy. It is unclear if she was aware of this, but around this time her other sister-in-law, that had been convicted of adultery along with her, died in prison of a cold or a murder. If she had heard that, it would have been alarming. Margaret's husband had immediately moved on and married, so that doesn't look good for the possible murder. Blanche's husband was also looking to get remarried, so her potential murder was looming, but it's unclear of how much of this information she was privy to. After she had her baby, Blanche's head was shaved, and she was moved into an underground prison where she wasn't likely privy to much information about her family. Things that happened while Blanche was in this underground prison, and she likely was never told about. Her daughter, Joan, died at the age of 6 years old. Her husband had their marriage officially annulled. Her son Philip died at the age of just 8. Her husband became the King of France, remarried, and had lost 2 additional children in this time. His second wife had died, and he was on to his 3rd wife. The king was still trying, as the last living male member of the Capetian family, to make a surviving male heir. The Valois family was so close to the throne now they could smell it, and likely because Isabella of France had seen her sisters-in-law gifts regifted to 2 Norman knights. According to Google, don't regift items to someone in the same social circle as the original giver. It could become awkward. Blanche was eventually allowed by her ex-husband to transfer from prison to a nunnery, and she took her nun's vows. Blanche died after 8 years in her underground prison and 4 years as a nun, after years of health problems at about the age of 30. You can share your thoughts with me at Long Live the Queen, podcast@gmail.com, or on Facebook or Instagram at Long Live the Queen Podcast. And I don't want to let the cat out of the bag because it's a pretty epic elite crew right now. But you can join us on Patreon. It's a hell of a deal, guys. $3 a month. That's 10 cents a day. For, at the moment of this recording, 5 episodes a week. I'm a cheap date. If that's not your style, it's cool. But please leave me a review if you like this episode on your favorite podcatcher. You guys are the best. Thanks for listening. Long live to all the queens out there. And until next time, bye.
Will be remembered.
Thanks for listening.